Hello everyone, Agent Gold here. Welcome back to my mini Let's Play of Final Fantasy VI. When we left off last time, we got to the village of Mobliz, and we got some clues about what we're supposed to do, but we didn't exactly get a good guideline. You might already know what we're supposed to do though, so let's get out here and see if we can figure it out. So these are some of the enemies that Locke saw in his quest of rescuing Celeste, so that probably means he's done with that by now. Oh yeah, those dogs like to run away if they're the last thing. Oh, how fortunate, he came right away. Alright, so this time we've got something we can give him. And somebody had a lot of fun with the cutscene that we're about to see, so let's have some fun watching it. What better way to make a friend than with beef jerky, right? So, I'm surprised he knows how to talk at all, but he's pretty smart for a child who was raised in the wild like this. I think they're wrestling right here or something. He is really strong. I'll show you a little bit about that in a minute. Cyan's gonna try to be a peacekeeper here. Someone learned a new word. I guess maybe Cyan feels like he's making fun of him because this is a word that he was pretty commonly acquainted with. But most of the people who spoke that way are gone now, so you can see why he might be a little upset. Sabin is going to go ahead and explain it to him. We'll see how quickly he catches on, seeing as he doesn't really have a family of his own. Sure enough. And that's pretty kind of him. But of course, what is a wild child going to have? Well, apparently he does have something good. Something shiny. Very shiny. Always love that line. Asks the question, makes no effort to hear the answer. He's pretty excited right now. Now this is very clever on his part. He's using the places that they're standing as places on the map. Just to give us an idea of where the mountain is. Poor Sabin. It's just one of the best cutscenes there is in this game. Okay, so this little guy, he's here to explain how Gao's abilities work, but I'm going to show you, and that's probably one step better. So I'm just kind of gloss over this for right now. You can kind of tell that he doesn't have a normal fighting style. I just kind of gave you a crash course of it, but it's not the same as seeing it in action, so... So, let's have a look at this little guy. He's got an ability called Rage, and we see some names of monsters in this list. He's got 9 of them to start with. It's the same 9 every time, including this one. It's always fun. When you choose the Rage command, you choose one of those monsters, and he'll start fighting as if he were that monster, but you lose control of him. So, the other thing to note about him, he didn't come with any equipment. We can give him a little bit, get a few things lying around he can use. We cannot give him a weapon. That's just not something that he does. But if you look at his attack power, 109 without a weapon. Sabin's got 81, Cyan's got 82, and that's when they do have weapons. So this kid is a beast. So let's get into a fight and see what he can do. Any old time here. Oh, this is one of my favorite ones to find. Okay, so we're gonna start with his leap command. That just ends the battle right away. He jumps on one of the monsters and rides it away. Like the Kappa said, we just keep fighting and he'll reappear eventually. See, here's the Empire. What are they doing here? Too bad we don't have Shadow right now to help speed things along, but oh well. When he reappears is random, so I have no idea if he's going to show up after this fight or not. I kind of hope he does. Yeah, awesome. So... now this time I just have to wait. He's going to go through this little spiel he likes to do. Friend! Alright, so now he knows... the ones that are important of what he learned right there are the Gold Bear and the Templar. And I'll show off one of them in another fight or two here. Okay, so this time let's have him try the Gold Bear. I like that gouge attack because it tends to be very powerful. So you can kind of see steam rising from him, and that says that he's out of our control right now. He's like fuming with rage or something, so when his turn comes along, he's just going to choose something to do all on his own. So when you choose Leap, he'll just learn whatever you're fighting right now, and when he comes back, he'll learn whatever you were fighting then. That's pretty much the basics of how he works. Now, oddly enough, he doesn't always fight the same way that you would expect that particular enemy to. Let's try the Templar. Those guys always just attacked us with a physical weapon. Let's see what he does here. He might use the same weapon, or he might do something... Nope, nope, look at this. They never used magic on us. And something that's kind of weird is that enemies will sometimes fight differently when they're confused than they will when they're attacking us. And that might be when they would have used Fira on each other. So when he copies them, he'll fight the way that they would if they were confused. So it doesn't always make sense, but it's worth looking at. So this way of learning the monster's abilities and having him use them, some Final Fantasy games actually have you catch monsters and train them up just like Pokemon. This would be this game's version of that. Let's try Magitech armor once. But it's very streamlined and very simplified. By the way, that yellow glow means that he takes less damage from physical attacks. But instead of like going out and catching these monsters, you just have to find the ones you like, leap on them, and then if you want them to be stronger, you just have Gau gain experience and get stronger, and all of the rages will be stronger together. So it's very simple. Just for fun, he already knows this one. Let's have him fight these things as these things. And this ability they will use against us sometimes, but it's more fun to use it against them. Okay, now he's Berserk, so his attack power went up. That means these things are Berserk too, but they still seem like they can do more than just their attack command, so it's not fair. But, was there something else I was going to say? I'm sure there was. Well, at this point, I'm looking for one more rage that I like to get before going on, because it has a very nice attack. And I'm not going to go on looking for his treasure in this video. So pretty much everything from this point on is going to be kind of filler while I look for that one. If it takes me way too long, I'll skip ahead. So if you want to go on to the next video, you're welcome to at any time. I've shown you Gau, I've explained how he works, so you won't be lost if we go on from here. So with that, I might as well just talk about a little bit of trivia while we're continuing to look around. So like I mentioned, he starts with those 9 rages, and if you wanted to think like in terms of the game's canon, you can always assume that he has those rages and that he can do whatever they do. And some of them are flying enemies, and when he uses those, he lifts up off the ground. The big thing about flying like that in this game is just that ground attacks don't hit you. But one of the 9 that he starts with is a Hornet, and that's one of the ones that lifts him up off the ground. I'll show you it in this next fight. So this means that, canonically, he can fly. Now, let's just back up and think about this for a second. It must have been one thing for Sabin and Cyan to come to this place and see this wild child running around the plains with all these wild beasts. It would have been another thing entirely for them to see the same child flying across the sky. And now I just have this perfect picture in my head of him spreading out that hide that he's got draped around his shoulders like a pair of wings, gliding across the sky like an eagle. I don't think a ghost is that useful to get. Yeah, they got their fire attack, but we got a stronger one. I think these things are even weak against fire. He doesn't always use what you want him to. That's just part of the deal. And actually, there's a subtle genius in play here. So Gau grew up here as a feral child, and he's probably pretty wild. People don't tell him what to do all of that much. So you don't get to control him. His fighting style reflects his lifestyle. And you kind of see that with other characters too. I mean, Sabin was the martial artist, and even here we're not safe from that attack. But he's a martial artist. He gains new techniques by gaining levels, and then you use those techniques by inputting a command that you have to memorize. Meanwhile, his brother Edgar, he grew up in a place with machinery, and for him to get new techniques, you buy the machines, and then you activate them with the push of a button. Cyan, with charging up his techniques like that, General Leo said that Doma's favorite strategy was a waiting game, and he reflects that the way that you have to wait for him to use his good attacks. Even with Shadow, his biggest claim is being able to throw things, and those are disposable objects that we have to buy. So, in a way, you have to pay him for his services every time you want him to attack by buying those items. So, it's very interesting how a lot of characters do that. Looks like Cyan's almost down, so we'll have to take care of that after this fight. Alright, I'm not finding the creature that I'm looking for just yet, so I'm going to go ahead and skip ahead, and I'll show you when we've gotten it, and we'll go from there. So, wait just a minute. Found it. I'll show you that one in the next video quite a bit, so you'll see what it does. It's kind of interesting. Garu has a lot of different abilities he can use, and a lot of them are pretty powerful, but they don't cost him anything. So I would like to say that it's balanced, that he's that flexible and that strong and you don't control him in fights, but Final Fantasy is not really a game that cares that much about balance, so... but, you know, it's pretty cool. So this is the cave to Crescent Mountain, and this is where we're going to be looking for his treasure, and this is where we're going to pick it up next time. So see you there.